Thank you, everybody, for joining me in this session. This is our annual question and answer with our experts, where we wrap up the year by just taking a quick look at what Zoho Sign has done in terms of product development and how our customers have reacted, and how sort of their feedback has spurred us to produce even better features and functions that help you do your business better with Zoho Sign. So yeah, welcome to the webinar, and we'll get underway. So what we have in the agenda for today's session is a bit of a 20-minute presentation from me, following which we'll get to the questions. So in the presentation that I will be giving, I will be speaking about why physical paperwork will soon be a thing of the past. Following that, I'll just give you a brief overview of Zoho Sign as an e-signature solution. I will talk about its features, capabilities, and different types of offerings, and also touch a bit on Zoho Sign's recent success and recognitions. And following that, I'll just give you a rundown of all the features and functions that we've released for Zoho Sign this year. And then I'll talk about what's cooking for 2022. That is, what do we have in store for an improved Zoho Sign experience in 2022. Then we get to the question and answer segment, but do not keep your questions waiting till then. Start shooting them, as we have panelists who can answer them as I present. So, first question that I always ask in all of my webinars: if you're a business owner, do you still use the pen and paper approach? And by pen and paper approach, it simply means a set of tasks where you draft documents, make copies of them, circulate them to get them signed, send them to different stakeholders, signatories through means such as fax, mail, which take a lot of time, and then just sit around waiting for the signatures to get collected, for the documents to be finalized. And then if it's a deal, it's a deal. But if there's a sale, then you probably have to move equipment or your goods around and raise follow-up paperwork, which once again goes through the same process. All of this can be pretty tiring, requires a lot of manual labor. There's very little digitization if you're using pen and paper, and it doesn't quite just end there. Often, if you have to sort of submit documentation for audits or for accounting purposes, you kind of have to retrieve the paperwork that you have stored physically somewhere within your office space and then present it to your auditor. So all of this put together can be a huge problem. It's only a matter of time before you start to get tired of the various problems it starts throwing at you. So, as I was explaining, a lot of this requires paperwork that is probably very repetitive, very tiring, very cumbersome in general. So, people will be worn out by the amount of paperwork they're doing. They will sort of have slips in concentration, and it makes them prone to errors, right? So, that's not good for a business. And it also wears out people in terms of their energy. There's a lot of running around happening to collect signatures, to get documents approved and whatnot. And if you're, say, in a part of a world where physical documents don't really carry the security that you wanted to carry, then there are obvious concerns of forgery, tampering, and whatnot. And of course, there's always the unlikely event of a calamity or a natural disaster, where you could possibly lose all your paperwork, and that could end up in your company losing out on a lot of money. And if these weren't nagging enough problems, the paperwork, even when all things go right, there's a lot of waiting period where you have to sit and wait around for the documents to be signed. All of this put together can just be a huge drain on your resources. You tend to lose out on a lot of labor hours. The paperwork just sits and accumulates in your office, taking up office space for which you have to pay rent, and that in turn, all of it put together adds up to your administrative costs. So yeah, everything is just a huge drain, considering you kind of want to stick with pen and paper at the end of the day. And if that's going to be the case, then if your business is growing, it will be difficult to scale operations at a point, because you only have so many hands. So uh, how are you going to deal with that? Well, that's where e-signatures is something that's taking over. A lot of the businesses these days around the world are adopting e-signatures to combat, these problems associated with physical paperwork. So, e-signatures, or digital signatures, as we'd like to call it here in Zoho Sign, is actually a digital alternative to signing paperwork with pen and paper. Meaning, you no longer use signatures or seals that are made with ink. Rather, it works by digitally signing documents with a digital seal or a signature certificate, which is sort of like a digital fingerprint, which can be once again traced to the signer and is unique to the signer, and it becomes compromised if the document which is signed is altered. And if these aren't reason enough for you to switch to e-signatures, uh, the technology itself is a lot more secure. It is more authentic, meaning you can easily verify or prove that a person has signed a document, and it offers great measure of non-repudiation, meaning people cannot just sign something and say claim that they have not signed it. All in all, it produces tamper-proof, unforgeable documents which are just as legally binding as paper documents. So that's the reason why around the world everybody is going gaga over e-signatures. And there's actually a little bit more to that, because if you've seen it if you've seen what happened in the past year and a half or so, we've seen that a lot of businesses have kind of switched to a very remote work model. In fact, now they're switching into sort of a hybrid work model where there are people working from office, from home, from different places, from destinations and whatnot. So in general, there is this sort of very an environment that is not very conducive to collaboration, and it can get chaotic at times. So e-signatures can help you remove that chaos by just getting documents signed online, which sort of ensures that you don't have to run behind people to get signatures. And all of this can be done, say, from the click of your computer mouse, or from the tap of your finger on your smartphone. So you can use an e-signature app on any device from anywhere, anytime, on the go. So you can see that the different functions that an e-signature app can help you do here listed on the screen. But I will elaborate a little more on that as I talk about Zoho Sign. So Zoho Sign is Zoho's solution to the e-signature boom. It is our e-signature solution which thousands of businesses use to sign, send, and manage legally binding documents. And it functions using a very simple cloud-based electronic signing process. So yeah, as I was saying, using Zoho Sign, you can collect signatures, approvals through e-sign workflows that you build out using the application on your web browser or the mobile app. And this helps you collect signatures in documents from multiple stakeholders. You can customize these workflows in a way that you collect signatures in a particular order. You assign roles to different people. You send different messages to the recipients, and you even remind them if they don't, sign the documents on time. And you can even augment this further with advanced features like being able to collect signatures online but in person, in the sense you do it face to face but on a device. And you can even have people collect signatures offline in remote areas without internet access on the mobile devices. And you can sort of automate or make it more efficient by sending documents to a large list in bulk, create reusable templates, and even implement public signing processes to collect registrations and applications. So all of this is possible with Zoho Sign, and that is only because the product has a very extensive REST API offering, and as a result, it's already integrated with several popular applications that are available. And because of the APIs, you can also, if you're a developer, you can build your own custom integrations for your own applications using our APIs, webhooks, and software development kits. And most of all, Zoho Sign comes at a very affordable price. And to dive a little bit more into the highlights of Zoho Sign, it is an application that is made extensively for enhanced remote collaboration. It right now offers an extensive signing experience across 12 different languages. You can have multiple users in an organization and have them all, use the app to share documents and templates with one another, track them in unison, and sort of make sure that the organization is headed in the right way in terms of getting paperwork done. And you can even organize your files and sort of have them managed just like you would do it in a cloud storage application. And in fact, you can even set up integrations between cloud storage providers and Zoho Sign to sort of import documents into Zoho Sign and export documents back to your cloud storage. Um, and you can even align the experience of Zoho Sign with your brand. Sort of, how do I say this? You can make your customers feel a lot more at home as if they're doing business with you directly. when you're using Zoho Sign by adding the company logo and customizing the email templates with your own designs and brand colors, and the disclosure that your signers agree to when they use Zoho Sign to sign documents. You can customize that to suit your own legal needs. And you can even add an additional layer of authenticity by sending emails from Zoho Sign directly from your organization's email address. And to an extent, you can customize the experience of signers who land in your documents by redirecting them to custom landing pages. And all of that just sort of reinforces the belief that your customers are they feel safe in the way they are transacting with you. And of course, if it's a platform that offers transactional value, then it has to have high security and legal protection. So Zoho Sign offers military grade encryption and document security. All the documents and customer data is encrypted using the AES 256 standard at rest, and using the TLS and SSL standards in transit. And of course, e-signatures, as I was saying earlier, carry the same legal validity as physically signed documents, but nonetheless, Zoho Sign as a product complies with several e-signature laws worldwide, such as the eSign Act in the United States, the PIPEDA in Canada, the IDC regulations in the EU, ITA 2000 in India, and ETA in Australia. And this is just a very exhaustive list of examples that I've quoted here. In fact, we have a legal guide where you can go and explore it by country and see if it applies to your country's use cases. And all of this compliance is actually driven by our own privacy and data security features that we have. In fact, Zoho as an organization is compliant with data protection rules such as GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA in the United States, etc. And the features that we have in place actually contribute to this compliance, like having multi-factor app authentication, role-based access, being able to generate reports, audit trails, and completion certificates for documents, and also being able to authenticate your signers when they're signing documents using SMS and email OTP, or have them upload, say, a copy of their ID so you can identify them yourself. The signing part of it is actually even more secure. As we were saying earlier, there are multiple ways in which we can ensure verification of signed documents, such as blockchain based timestamping, which sort of publishes a record of a signed document to a public blockchain that you can verify. You have trusted document timestamping, which adds a third party trusted timestamp which preserves the signatures in a document. And you have several features that go with regional regulations to sort of make Zoho Sign way more compliant than people think it normally is. You can print and sign documents despite it being a digital signature application. You can sign with your own USB-based digital signatures. You can, if you're in the EU, you can obtain a qualified electronic signature to sign documents. There's so much you can do with Zoho Sign. So yeah, and as I was saying earlier, it is one app, but the app is available across all platforms, meaning it's not something you just open up your browser and you need a computer for all the time. You have the Zoho Sign app available on the mobile platforms such as Android, iOS, iPadOS, and for desktop platforms like macOS and Windows. So you can create a sign workflow, or you could be signing a document on your browser, but you would need to be, sort of going out somewhere. You could just pause that on the browser and probably pick up your phone on the way to the place that you're going and continue from where you left off. That's how it works. It's all entirely synchronized over the cloud and available across all these platforms. And as I mentioned, thanks to our extensive API offering, we have been able to build a very large list of integrations within our own ecosystem. In fact, Zoho Sign is one of the most tightly integrated apps within the Zoho ecosystem. As you can see, that it integrates with well over 15 different Zoho applications. Any popular application within the Zoho ecosystem that's very integral to the way your business is operating, you will probably find it here, and Zoho Sign integrates with that. And not just these Zoho apps, but also with several third-party applications and ecosystems, so that it makes it easier for you to sort of move your data around across ecosystems and work with it in a way that you find it comfortable. Yeah, you can find probably cloud-based providers here. And in fact, we have integrations with integration platforms like Integromat, FormStack Documents, and Zapier, which allow you to not only integrate Zoho Sign with, say, a set number of applications, but with a whole plethora of online web applications, thousands of them, which are available on these platforms. So it's all about just connecting these applications together using these platforms, and you're good to go. You can set up a completely automated workflow to get your documents done and your business data flowing from one place to another as you need it. So here's a look at what the Zoho Signs web dashboard looks like. It's fairly simple, very self-explanatory, and all the actions are very intuitive. You can just sort of figure it out by touch if you're not, exposed to Zoho Sign before. So I urge you to, try Zoho Sign if you haven't tried it. And for those who already use Zoho Sign, I'm sure you have, feedback for us so that we can go back and, sort of improve this. So do let us know. If you haven't been using Zoho Sign, you can use the link on this slide to sign up for a free 14-day enterprise trial, and let us know how that works out for you. And Zoho Sign, as I said, is about e-signatures, right? And e-signatures are used in paperwork, which is found in pretty much every role, every function that a business carries out. So uh, you can use Zoho Sign across your organization. Literally every department, every team could possibly have a use case where you would need somebody's signatures on a piece of paper, which you could be avoiding if you use Zoho Sign and cutting down on costs and time. So yeah, I've just put up the most popular use cases that we seem to come across, but it's always down to you as to how you see fit to use the application. So if you have any niche use cases where you find Zoho Sign has helped you, feel free to go ahead and keep using it that way, and do let us know so we can learn from you and see how we can try and adapt the application to suit more functions as well. So, all right. So, with that, let me just quickly get into what we've done in Zoho Sign in 2021. And from then on, we can go to the questions. So, in 2021, we released a lot of features, but one of the most important features that, or rather, the most asked about features that we released was document sharing. So, what this allows you to do is you can have an administrator have document sharing enabled for users in an organization where two users could possibly share their documents with one another. This does not mean that they have complete access to the documents. They would simply be able to view and track the documents of another person. But nonetheless, that was something that was not present in Zoho Sign in 2020, but we've introduced it in 2021. And we hope that increases the collaborative output of companies in the way they go about things. And similarly, we also introduced template sharing. So even now, templates are something that only administrators can create in Zoho Sign. But the usage of templates had sort of been a very gray area, because a lot of users wanted to use templates, but then there were a lot of concerns about administrators not wanting to give access to all templates because it was either nothing or everything. So we've streamlined that to make it possible to you for administrators to share particular templates with particular users. That way, you can set an administrator can set up a whole bunch of templates and just share the ones that are necessary with the different departments, which will be using those templates when getting signatures and documents. But do keep in mind that templates, even though they're shared with users, it's still the administrators who can modify them and delete them, not the users who can only use these templates. And yeah, so we've had documents being assigned to document types and folders for a while in Zoho Sign now, but there wasn't really a place where you could view all these document types and folders and manage them actively. But now we've given you a provision where you can go check out all the folders and document types you've created and sort of reorganize them, and also move your documents around to try and manage them and organize them in a better way. So you can just go to your account settings and you'll find the folders and document types tab, and you can open these tabs and see all of these categories that you've created, and you can edit them, delete them, create new ones, and sort of do what you want to do to better organize your documents within Zoho Sign. And we've introduced a brand new field for signers, which is the image upload field. So for a while, we've had the stamp field, which allowed signers to upload an image of their stamp. But of course, when you're filling out a document, more often than not, it's not just the image of a stamp that you need to upload. There are use cases where people would need to upload self-attested photographs, uh, uh, photocopies of certain things which exist only as images. So for all of these, the best way to go about it would have to be uploading it in the form of an image. And to facilitate that, we've introduced a new signer field. So what this allows is for senders to add this field where an image has to be inserted into a document, and then the signers, when they sign the document, can click on the field and upload an image and sort of crop it, zoom into it, change its orientation the way they want it to appear on the document itself. And we introduce print and sign. So Zoho Sign is all about going paperless and removing paper documents, right? But then that's not something we can universally apply. There are countries and regions out there where the legal system mandates that people maintain physical copies of certain documents. But it's sort of a hybrid system. They are allowed to sign documents digitally, but they must maintain a physically signed copy. So for such regions where the signers would need to have a copy with themselves, but also need to sort of have it signed digitally, we introduced a feature called print and sign, where if a signer receives a document to sign, instead of choosing to just sign it on their browser, they may choose to print and physically sign it, and then upload the scanned copy of the printed document, which they signed physically, onto the Zoho Sign application, and then proceed with the workflow. This way, they have a copy of the document with themselves, which they have signed, and they also have a document, a scanned copy uploaded onto Zoho Sign, which is digitally signed by them, and that proceeds with the workflow, and it's sent to the sender and to the subsequent signers. So it's sort of like a very nice workaround to suit the systems that are still somewhat archaic in certain places. And of course, a feature that we've been facing requests for the past couple of years was us allowing signers to sign with their own digital signature certificates, which they had held in the form of hardware tokens. So typically in countries where digital signatures are very regulated, they're issued to signers in the form of a USB token. This way, signers, when they sign documents, they plug the USB device into their laptop or tablet, and then the signature certificate is recognized, and they use that to sign documents. But since Zoho Sign was a cloud-based e-signature solution, we had not supported this feature in 2020. But now we've introduced support for this through our Windows application. So if you have a Windows device and you have a USB token digital signature, you can now sign documents with it using the Zoho Sign app. So do try it out. And not just that, the Windows application is pretty smart in the sense that it not just detects your USB tokens, but also any other certificates that you might have in a supported format in your computer. So you might not even need a USB token. You could just be having a personal certificate in your computer in a recognizable format by the app. Then you could still use that to sign documents in Zoho Sign. So yeah, and this is normally what is referred to as advanced electronic signatures, where the signature certificate is in sole possession and control of the signer themselves. So with this feature, I think that's one level of a higher degree of compliance Zoho Sign offers in that regard. And yes, so earlier this year we revamped our add-on system. So earlier Zoho Sign used to have API credits and Zoho SMS credits. So to send documents out and have the signers be authenticated via SMS OTP, since this was being offered through third-party services, we were levying a charge on the signer, on the senders, and this was done through SMS credits. And for API and automation-based requests to send documents out, there's a separate cost involved in terms of automation and server maintenance. So for that as well, we used to charge senders in the form of API credits. But what we've done is we've sort of removed these different credits that were there earlier, and we've standardized it to just bring it all under the ambit of one credit system, and it's called Zoho Sign Credit. So depending on what your action is, whether you want to send a document out for signature using API, or whether you just want to send out an SMS to somebody to authenticate them to sign a document, Zoho Sign credits will be consumed, and it varies according to the action that you're performing. And not just these, but there are several more legal features that we released this year, which also require Zoho Sign credits, as they're all third-party services which incur their own costs. So I will be talking a bit more about it as I go forward. But yeah, basically we've revamped our add-on system, and we have Zoho Sign credits, which now serve as the sole add-on for all features that incur additional cost. All right. So one of the biggest features that we've introduced this year is qualified electronic signatures for the European Union. This is in Europe. We all know that the regulation there is very standardized across the entire union, and the way they operate transactionally is very different from the rest of the world. So for the European Union, there is a special requirement for how documents are signed, and that is through the issue of an qualified electronic signature. And that is something that we offer in Zoho Sign now in partnership with Wanataka, who are an authorized qualified trust service provider. And those who are in the EU, if you have to sign documents, using a QES would mean that your document is legally equivalent to a document that has been signed with pen and paper. So feel free to try this feature out. You can let us know if you need access to this feature. We are happy to provide access to anybody that is willing to try this out and see how it works out for them. And very similar to QES in the EU, we introduced eSign in India through eKYC authentication services offered by eMudhra, who are a certifying authority. So essentially, in this, it is similar to how the QES is issued in Europe. You have to register with this third party, and you have to provide them with details, identification documents, possibly, and they will verify that it is indeed you who's requesting for a digital signature certificate, and then they will issue you a certificate which can be used to sign documents. And this in India conforms to the specifications defined by the controller of certifying authorities, and as a result makes it a lot more compliant with high level documents which need to be signed. And so with e-signatures, normally what happens is there is a digital signature certificate that is attached with the document, right? And these certificates carry a specific validity. So let's say you're signing a document which is a contract for about 5 years, but the digital signature certificate which was used to sign the document might not have validity that is as long as the contract itself. So what happens after 5 years is if you open up the digitally signed document, it might say that the signatures have expired. So to prevent such an occurrence, or rather to preserve the signatures through the time of the actual documents requirement, we have something called trusted document timestamping, wherein a third party's timestamp from a trusted provider is added to the digitally signed document. This way, it proves that the signed document did exist at that time and date of signing, and therefore renders the contract in effect for as long as it is mentioned in the document. So this way, even if the documents, digital signature certificates themselves expire, you could say that the digitally signed documents are still valid and the contract is still in force, and it could be used in court to sort of enforce the deliverables of the contract. So this is something we are offering through partnership with multiple authorities. So in the EU, we have partnered with Wanataka, with whom we are offering QES services as well. And in Japan, we're partnering with Seiko. And for other countries and regions across the world, we're partnering with Global Sign. So you can enable this timestamping feature in your Zoho Sign account from the account settings section. And you'll probably see that all your documents signed after that will carry a timestamp at the bottom below the signature certificates themselves. And so coming to blockchain timestamping, now blockchain timestamping itself is a feature that we've had in Zoho Sign for roughly over 2.5 years now. However, this year we made a small change. So earlier, blockchain timestamping was facilitated by creating a block which we would commit onto the Ethereum blockchain. But now we've changed that to the Bitcoin blockchain, where we are using a third-party service called Open Timestamps, which takes the hash value of the signed document and sort of encrypts it and plays around with it and creates a very unintelligible format which can be verified later on. and commits it onto the Bitcoin blockchain. So this isn't necessarily, I wouldn't say it's an improvement, it's rather just a different way of doing it. We're just using a different blockchain than we used to earlier. And this is proven to be more reliable and more popular with vendors, as a result of which we've implemented this. So if you've been using the older blockchain timestamping, you can still verify those documents in the Ethereum public blockchain, but you will soon see a shift to open timestamps with the documents that are being signed right now. But do let us know, give us your feedback, because it was a feedback about the Ethereum blockchain, which was sort of after a while, because of the volatility and the high load or traffic, transactions were taking a longer time to commit. So as a result, we made this change as a result of a feedback that we've received from the customers. So if you can tell us if this works great for you, then we'll see how we can sort of take it further from there. All right. And so I did mention this at the very start. When you're using Zoho Sign on the mobile apps, you can continue from where you left off on the browser app. But what happens when you take your mobile phone to an area where you don't really get Wi-Fi signal or a network connectivity, and you end up going offline? Well, with Zoho Sign, you don't really have to worry about that, because you can download the documents that you need to sign when you're connected to the internet, and then you can sign them, go through the documents and read them and sign them, even when you're not connected to the internet at a later point. So this is called offline signing, and this is something that we've just introduced in our mobile apps. And this, as I said, facilitates signing of documents when you're not connected to the internet. But more importantly, for businesses which operate field agents that travel across places where they might have to pass through remote pockets where there is no network connectivity, when such kind of travel is anticipated, you could probably make the best use of this feature, where you could sign documents with uninterrupted ability to do so, even if you're not connected to a network or the internet. Right, and earlier this year, Apple announced their new operating systems for their devices. They announced iOS 15, iPadOS 15 for iPhones and iPads. And along with the announcements, we also released an upgraded version of Zoho Sign for these platforms. They essentially make use of the newer features added to these operating systems by offering you a better experience with the app. You can add widgets, which are actually a lot smarter now. They know what to show you and when to show you. You can set up focus notifications. You can set up even larger widgets to make use of the real estate on your iPad screen. And you can print documents from your mobile devices. This is something that was not there earlier, but now you can print documents from your iPad and iPhones using the Zoho Sign app. And you don't really have to do it using your finger by swiping around. You can set it up connected to a keyboard, and you can do it using keyboard shortcuts as you would do so in a computer. So it makes it all the more easier to stay plugged in with your dependencies on a very minimal number of devices. You don't have to constantly keep switching between different devices to get paperwork printed out as well. So yeah, and building on that, the exact same set of features were later on brought on to macOS Monterey, which is the operating system that Apple announced for their MacBooks and iMacs. So Zoho Sign is available for macOS Monterey as well in an upgraded version, which brings, as I said, all the features of the iOS 15 and iPadOS 15 apps, along with some other popular features like Siri shortcuts, which were previously unavailable in this platform, that have also come up for you to use the application. So essentially, you can talk to Siri on your MacBook and sort of go through your paperwork, get documents signed. It becomes a lot more conversational and easier that way. And we've also revamped the certificate of completion within Zoho Sign. The document earlier used to be a very linear document where we sort of had things flow right in different rows where people would just take a look at it. And it wasn't really something that was pleasing to the eye, as we were told in our feedback. So we've sort of given it a visual changeover to make it more neat and have a more refreshing design. We hope that this sort of very clearly captures all the information, and people can quickly pick up a detail if they have to from this, without having to sort of search the document for what they're looking for. This is something that's pretty big, I would say, because a lot of people use Zoho Sign with the Google Workspace ecosystem. But the one feature request that we keep getting is that they have documents set up in Google Drive that they compose with Google Docs, and they're able to import it onto Zoho Sign. But if at all there is some change required in the document, then they would have to sort of go back to Google Docs, do all of it there, and then come to Zoho Sign and start from scratch. Well, that's something that's changed now. You can now directly import documents from Google Docs, which you've composed inside Google Docs, onto Zoho Sign. And as you're working on the workflow, if you need to change something in the contents of the document, you can use the Zoho Sign interface to quickly open up the document in Google Docs and edit it, and then just click on the sync button to sync the updated document with the workflow. So this is something a lot of people would find useful, particularly when you're setting up a workflow, and say somebody comes up and passes a comment saying something needs to be changed. Then you wouldn't have to waste more time setting up a fresh workflow from scratch. Rather, you could just quickly edit it and then sync it with Zoho Sign and get going. This is very similar to what we have in our writer integration. Probably our writer integration does it better, but still, we do have an integration with Google Workspace now. So do check it out and see how it helps you. So yeah, as I was saying, we do have a very deep and tight integration with Zoho Writer itself, where you can compose documents and send them for signatures directly from Writer. But what Writer has done is that they've sort of introduced these automation templates this year, which allows you to create documents from scratch and build templates directly within Writer than having to come to Zoho Sign. And it's not just creating a document in Writer and making a template out of it. It's also a little more deeper than that. You can upload PDFs to Writer, and you can use the Writer's AI to automatically detect fields, which would be signer fields, which would be merge fields, and have them automatically be put onto the document, and then you can set up the template. So it basically just makes it a whole lot more easier to automate your document and paperwork process. So do check it out. This is one of the most used and most tightly integrated integrations that we have, and a lot of people love this integration. So if you have use cases where you need to work on some document in real time while getting it signed from different stakeholders, this is something that you should be giving a shot. All right. So let me just quickly run over some enhancements that we've introduced this year. So the bulk send feature has gotten some enhancements where earlier you could merge signer data onto the bulk send documents, provided you had them and you added them to the CSV file that you're uploading. But we only supported standard pre-fill fields, which for which data would already be present. But now we support custom text fields as well. All you would just need to make sure is that the column of the field that you're mapping the data onto, the name of the column is the same as the data label of the field, so that each value from each row is filled into the document that is sent to the respective signer. And this applies to private notes as well. You can actually add private notes to bulk import recipients directly from the CSV, as you cannot do it otherwise from the UI workflow. So now we've supported that in the CSV. So do try it out and let us know how it goes for you. And now sign forms is a feature that a lot of people use very extensively, because it is a public it is a feature that allows you to collect public responses in documents. But there is often this complaint that people keep redoing the same sign form over and over again, because they're not they leave things off, they get distracted and come back, and as a result it creates a lot of duplicate responses. And since this is a feature we subject to additional cost as well, it could sort of hamper certain businesses from a cost perspective. So to avoid such issues from creeping up, what we've done is we've enhanced the way you can limit responses to sign forms. So now you can prevent a signer from leaving a duplicate response, and if they've started a response but have not completed it, then you can ensure that they continue from their previous response, and rather not create a fresh entry. So these are certain sort of enhancements which we think will fix issues based on the feedback we've received. But yeah, well, we'll only know if you use it and let us know how it works for you. And in the signer fields themselves, we've introduced a lot of new properties. So earlier we just had signer fields which can be formatted. You can probably like increase their font, decrease their font size, change their font, site, change their field name, and move the field around, change the size of the field, etc. But now we've introduced a host of properties like having the field size be fixed in terms of width and height, having the field be resizable or movable, meaning the signers, when they are entering data into a field and they feel like the field size is probably not enough, they could expand and increase the size of the field. Or if they think it's probably very awkwardly positioned, they could move it around and things like that. So these things sort of make it easier for you to format your document a lot better. And you can also set like character limits, validation for your fields, which the signers would have to work with and enter their information. So this makes it much easier to collect information. And previously, when you had signers enter data into the same field, they might have to redo it over and over again if it's the same field. But now, what you can do instead is you can just copy the data label across fields which are identical, and if the signer inputs their data into one of these fields, the others would get automatically filled up. So it makes it a lot faster and more efficient. And we've also introduced an enhancement to the document recall function. Earlier, when you recall a document, there was no reason being stated from the sender, and a lot of the times, our customers have told us that their end users and their signers have been very shocked to see that a document has been recalled without any reason or without any notice. So now there's a field where you can enter a reason which would alert the signers that the document is about to be recalled. And we're hoping to have this be introduced in certain other parts of the sign workflow as well, sort of improve the overall notification system in general. And yeah, a common complaint we get is that a signer has not gotten an email. Now, this often tends to be a case where the email probably ends up in the spam or promotions folder, which is due to the senders using a very generic Zoho Sign domain, uh, which is used by every other Zoho Sign organization. Which is why we advocate for you to use your own organization's email address, which adds authenticity and prevents such an occurrence. But in the odd case, we still see emails being not delivered properly, and that could be due to a large amount of reasons. The sender could the recipient could not be accepting emails, their mail storage could be full. So for all of these different scenarios where a mail bounces and does not reach the recipient, we've configured email bounce notifications that goes to the sender, alerting them that so and so has happened and this email has bounced. That helps them identify what caused the failure and probably work around that. And if you're a business that's using Zoho Sign and you have a lot of documents in Zoho Sign that you have not backed up, now we do have automatic cloud backup for our enterprise edition, but we often get requests for bulk download requests for bulk backup from different customers who have a very large amount of data in Zoho Sign, and they just find it too cumbersome to download all the documents one by one. So for such scenarios where you would need to sort of immediately get all of your data in like one bulk, what you can do is you can write to our support team and you can actually have them enable a bulk backup to cloud. This way you can back up your entire Zoho Sign sort of directory full of documents to a cloud storage provider that we're integrated with, and that way you'll have copies of the document elsewhere when you need it on demand as well. So these aren't just as I'm coming to the close of the features that we've released. We've released a lot more smaller features and enhancements which might have gone unnoticed, but I don't think they're significant enough for me to mention them now. But I'll just mention a couple more. So we do have spreadsheet support now, meaning you can upload spreadsheets to Zoho Sign to get them signed or send them out for signatures. And the text tags that we use in documents to replace to instead of inserting signer fields manually, you use text tags which are replaced with the signer fields. There are shorthand versions of it available now. You wouldn't need to actually type out, say, as you can see on your screen, first name colon recipient one. You can just simply type out a shorthand version of it, and that would be replaced by the respective field in Zoho Sign. So if you would like to use this and you want documentation, you can reach out to us and we'll try and help you and this would probably help you a lot more with how you set up your mail merge documents and automated documents which go out from CRM, writer, and whatnot. And if you're a developer who wants to use Zoho Sign to sort of develop your own custom applications for mobile and web use cases, we have software development kits available now. Though it's sort of an open beta state, we are issuing licenses to developers after having a discussion and seeing their use case and how it would benefit them. Since it's not entirely a public release, we are issuing it on a case by case basis. But if you are interested and you do want to obtain a license to our SDKs and want to sort of try and develop your own solutions, do get in touch with us and we can see how we can help you. So 2021 has been sort of a very mixed bag of a year for us. We introduced a lot of legal features which were sort of backed by queries constantly coming in from customers saying, their local authorities don't really understand how Zoho Sign works, so they want us to do it a certain way. But at the same time, we also got recognized by some very big analyst firms for our products progress in this domain of e-signatures. So the first one is that we had Software Reviews award us the Gold Medalist Award for in their e-signature data quadrant awards, where we were positioned as a leader, and we were featured for the ease of data integration, IT administration, and our rate of product improvement and roadmap and strategy and whatnot. So this was one of our very first large recognitions, and this was very quickly followed up with another recognition from IDC, who recognized us in their e-signature marketscape as a major player, putting us at the very top of the other vendors in this particular market. So this is just simply like sort of a testament to how Zoho Sign has done in terms of satisfying its customers' use cases and offering them an experience with e-signatures that they want. So once again, here we were featured for product roadmap, ease of use, and integration capabilities. You'll probably see this a lot. You'll probably see that you'll probably see the words integration and roadmap come up a lot, because at Zoho Sign we're very ambitious, and we sort of have our hands dug in everywhere. We kind of want to integrate with every solution out there to try and help businesses ease their processes and remove the paper from the paperwork. And towards the end of the year, we were also named a champion by the Software Reviews website once again in their emotional footprint report. And this is something that talks more about the customer experience and how the product has impacted customers directly. So it's more of a very an indexed evaluation that looks at our ability to sort of deal with customers, how we do customer support, how we can retain our customers, the stickiness and aspects of sort of customer satisfaction, which normally other recognitions wouldn't touch upon, because they're simply looking at a project from an objective oriented view. All right, so finally, let me just talk about what's in the pot for 2022 for Zoho Sign. We have a lot that we're about to release for Zoho Sign, but bear with me, because this is quite a list that a lot of you would be interested in. So first off, we are going to be introducing more integrated services with regional providers for sort of enhanced legal compliance. So in India, we're introducing Aadhaar-based signer authentication, which is a government ID-based signer authentication. And in the European Union, we're introducing another integration for QES with InfoCert. And in Singapore, we're introducing an integration with SingPass, which is their government ID for Singapore citizens for signer authentication and e-signing. And for EU, we are introducing eID-based signer authentication, which would authenticate signers based on their European government ID to sign documents. And simultaneously, we're working on multiple improvements within Zoho Sign itself, like being able to sign using USB token, but on macOS and through web browsers, and being able to sign documents with identical fields in bulk. And we already have some features in closed beta, like embedded signing through integrations in websites, through sign forms. This is in closed beta, but if you would like to make use of this, do get in touch with us so we can give you access. We're working on making sure signers are authenticated better. So we're working on features such as knowledge-based authentication, working on compliance towards 21 CFR Part 11, and we're also looking to sort of have documents sent for signature through SMS and not just rely on emails for it to reach the recipients. And there are several administrative improvements that we're looking forward to as well, such as support for more languages, enhancements to how documents are forwarded, be it signed documents or unsigned documents which are being delegated to others to be signed on behalf of somebody. We're also looking to introduce support for multi-portal and organizations, meaning organizations could have multiple teams organized across different portals, but all under the same organization umbrella. And we already have support for custom domain and white labeling in closed beta, but we're looking to bring it to a public release next year. And along with that, we will have a very revamped user groups and permissions set up, where if you can streamline, pick and choose what every user in an organization can do with respect to Zoho Sign. And we've also pretty much closed out two integrations with Zoho, other Zoho apps like Zoho Checkout and Zoho Directory. So if you would like to use these integrations once they release, do let us know. But we will be making a formal announcement anyway. Now, I'm pretty sure the next slide is going to excite a lot of you. A lot of eyes are going to pop, but bear with me. We are in the midst of completing integrations with several popular third-party applications. So an integration with Salesforce is currently underway. An integration with SAP is underway. We have an integration with HubSpot CRM in early access, and an integration with Pipedrive CRM in the works as well. So all of these, I believe, would help customers working across different data ecosystems to try and unify their data and get workflows running without any sort of hassles to get their business deals underway. And we will be integrating with Microsoft Power Automate as well, which is an integration platform, and introducing bot support for Microsoft Teams in Zoho Sign. And for developers, we are very close to publishing collections, API collections through Postman and Swagger, uh, which would allow them to sort of build applications pretty quickly and test their applications through our APIs, and sort of even build wrappers or containers which would utilize Zoho Sign services in other third-party ecosystems. And we're also offering vertical solutions across other domains through SDKs, as I was saying earlier. So do let us know if you need access to any of these, and we'll see, depending on what stage of development they are, where to bring you into our beta testing and give you access and have you be a part of our growth journey. So yeah, with that, I'm done with this webinar. I know I said 20 minutes, but I'm extremely sorry that I've taken 15 minutes or so. But we have all the time we need to take questions. I believe my panel has been working overtime to get all the questions sorted out. I can see that a lot of questions have been raised, and most of them have been answered already. So do take a look at the resources that I have put up on the screen right now. This should help you get the information you need with respect to using Zoho Sign or to get started with Zoho Sign. But if at all at any given point in time you need any help, you can always write to us. So let me just leave the screen on for about 10 seconds or so, and then move on and check the questions tab to see if there are unanswered questions, and come back around. All right, I can see that a lot of questions have been answered. In fact, there is just one question, and even that's been answered now. I'm really happy that my team has left me with very little questions to answer, and they probably realize this guy has just been talking for like a while. So let's just finish up with the question, so that by the time he's done, everybody can go home. So yeah, thank you, team, for that. All right, so we've just gotten a question. Do you have a time frame for the integration with Zoho Checkout? So the checkout integration is currently being built. We've seen prototypes of it in function, but I personally am not in a position to give you a timeline. But we are anticipating that it should go live in the next few months, probably early on in 2022, depending on how quickly we can test and roll it out. But I can say with confidence that I've seen it happen. So it will just come out when you need it, and it'll probably hit you like a surprise. So just keep watching our space, and we'll make announcements as and when we release new integrations. So I will be making a post on our forums probably tomorrow, capturing all of this in summary in terms of our journey for 2021. And we are somewhat active on our forums with everybody that engages with us. It's predominantly support queries, but we want to sort of foster conversation around ideas, feature requests, and a lot more. We're really trying to build a community out there of Zoho Sign users who can benefit one another. We have instances of users talking to one another and sort of helping each other out in queries that they had with one another. So if that is something we can do with more and more members of the Zoho Sign community, that would be great. So yeah, do follow our forums. We will be making announcements whenever we release features in our forums, and I believe a very lengthy announcement is coming in our forums as soon as the year kicks in. So yeah, do watch that space. Okay, so there's a good question from Deborah. When will there be more better API on how to get signer field information? The current information is sparse. All right. So there are parts of our API which we are working on to improve because some of our features make use of APIs that we've not really made public yet, but we are working on making them public so that you can use them without having to depend on an integration or a deluge function or a flow workflow. So just bear with us, and we will try and get this sorted out. We are actually revamping our whole developer tools and API documentation as a whole. So once that is done, all of this information should be available. But in the meantime, if you have an urgent requirement, do write to us, and we can always have our support engineers help you out with what your requests are. All right. Okay, so I see a couple of questions, but I believe these are follow-up questions to questions that I have not answered. So I'm just reading up to get a little more context on what the conversation has been. My product manager, Subramanian, has been answering every question that I can glance on. He is the person who leads the Zoho Sign team, so he is probably the best suited person to answer any questions you have with respect to integrations, any questions you have with respect to particular solutions. So this happens once a year. So while we have the chance to answer your questions, feel free to shoot them, and we'll get them answered. All right. Okay. So I can see that pretty much all the questions have been answered. Even the follow-up questions have been answered by my panelists now. So I mean, if there are no further questions, I can wrap the session up. I'm just waiting to see if there are more questions. All right, so there's a question. What's your email address? I'm just typing out our support email address so that answered now. So, okay, so yeah, thank you for all the questions that you posed for us. I'm sure a lot of you have feedback that you probably think is maybe a little too elaborate or maybe a little too specific. So you think if you want to write to us at a later point in time, feel free to do so. We have our email address and our social handles put up on the screen right now. If you write to us at support@zohosign, one of our support engineers will get in touch with you. Depending on the type of query, they might even go on a one-on-one call with you to try and help you out. But if you hit us up on social media, normally social media is where we post our updates, announcements, and whatnot, but we welcome questions and queries there as well. So if you hit us up on social media, we'll probably try and find who the best person would be to answer your query and have you supported with, and we will probably relay it to them. So yeah, give us a follow across all these social media, whichever ones you prefer. We do have a brand new YouTube channel where we're trying to upload educational videos about how you can use Zoho Sign better. So do go drop a subscribe if you can, or at least just keep a watch on it and go through the videos. We're trying to actively post videos about how you can get things which normally a lot of people ask questions about done. So do let us know, give us your feedback, and we'll respond. Your feedback is very crucial for us to keep improving our services, and we always take it as the word of God. So yeah, I can see that there are a couple more questions. All right, they've been answered as well. My team's been making sure that I don't have any questions left to answer. So I'm really happy. Yeah, but it's been an amazing session. It's great to see that a lot of people have tuned in and asked us a lot of questions. I hope most of your questions have been answered. I do realize a few questions we've not been able to quite understand what you'd asked. You can always take the time to sort of draft an elaborate query and send it to us, and we'll still respond. If not, I'm just looking for further questions before I wrap this session up. All right. So before you all leave, I would just like to launch a small poll. It's not a poll, actually. It's just a message that I want to sort of leave you with. So I can see that a lot of people have used Zoho Sign among the audience. So if you're somebody who's happy with Zoho Sign, you really find the application, user friendly and integral to the way you operate your business, then do drop a review for us on the link that I've just put up on the poll. You can visit the link, and you probably would have to go through a survey of the product to drop a review. And if your review gets published, you can get in touch with us, and we'll have something nice for you, a good surprise. So we've actually been rewarding people who give us reviews. And do keep in mind that these reviews are absolutely what you think of Zoho Sign. So if you're not happy, you can go say you're not happy with Zoho Sign, and we're not going to dispute that. So our objective is to just sort of have Zoho Sign reviewed and have a very honest blend of reviews, so that other people can see these reviews and get a good idea of what the product does for their business. So yeah, if you're happy with it, go do drop us a review. And if it is published, do let us know, and we'll have something coming your way. All right, there are no further questions. If that's the case, then I guess we'll wrap the session up. It's already 11:05 Pacific time. So, all right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me in this session. I hope this session was useful. Uh, it was a very eventful webinar for us. We had a lot of questions. My team was able to sort of gauge the audience and understand what their requirements are. So we are really happy and thankful for this. So yeah, I hope the information that I presented was useful to you. And do keep coming back to our webinars. We'll have more webinars in 2022. So until then, this is Sai Anand and the rest of the Zoho Sign team members on the panel who will be taking off for the year. Have a great day. Have an amazing holiday period. See you all. God bless.